The AP's got them at 25. I knocked them out. A&M ain't nobody, and that's who they beat. And then you're losing to a Georgia Tech team that we all know is not any good. Okay? And losing to them wearing your Miami Night jerseys at home in Coral Gables. See, this is what happens when you just go to a private university and everybody wants to just take it out on you. Because this is, Miami want to be a part. Miami want to be what they are. Georgia Tech go down there, an engineering school, and do the damn thing. So I'm looking at the AP's top 25, and they've got Florida State at 4, Oklahoma at 5. I got Oklahoma at 4 and then Florida State at 8. But I think the story here is Oklahoma, who now has the best win of anybody in football, thanks in large part to Notre Dame. Okay? So if you were here Saturday night, you heard me say, I thought Ohio State had the best win of anybody in the sport because they beat Notre Dame and South Bend. There are others that said Texas had the best win in the sport when they went to Alabama to beat Alabama in Tuscaloosa. But because Notre Dame held that L last night from U of L, that win doesn't look so good for Ohio State anymore. And we know what kind of a team Texas is. So I decided to rank them accordingly. I think right now nobody has any guff with Oklahoma, not just a top 5 team, but as a team that is in position to secure another seat at the college football playoff. All they got to do is take care of their own business. But for Oklahoma fans, it's way different than 2021. It's way different than 2019. It's way different than 2018. And it's way different than 2017. Do you know why? I will tell you why. Because unlike USC, Oklahoma has an outstanding defense for the first time since I was literally in high school. I'm a grown-ass man. I own a house. I got advanced degrees. I left the PhD program to do this job. That's how long it's been. Brent Venables got them dudes believing. Danny Stutzman, Jared Kennett, Rondell Bothroyd, Billy Bowman, Peyton Bowen, Gentry Williams, Woody Washington, them dudes is for real. And I've said it, and you've heard it said. Everybody can score in the college football playoff. Everybody. Not everybody can stop people from scoring in the college football playoff. That is why we've always looked at that 4 spot and been like, oh, okay, it's best of the rest. But this year, where it feels like there's more parity, at least in the top 10, feels like Oklahoma could be about it in a year where Georgia isn't as good as they were, certainly in 2022 and 2021. Michigan is Michigan, right? I think that is the only team that right now scares the hell out of everybody. But again, Oklahoma is in the spot that Oklahoma thought it was going to be in a couple years ago, but with a defense that can hold up this time. Dylan Gabriel answered the question. In winning time, he's about it. All right? I didn't know it for sure. I thought that Gabriel was the system quarterback that Levy needed, meaning that he knows the system and will run it well, but I didn't know he could do things like what Caleb Williams does at USC, which is, hey, this is not working. I got to go do it myself. He did that against Texas, which is the best defense that Oklahoma's going to see all year. And he had 285 passing yards and 113 rushing yards. It's not just that he's the first dude to do that at Oklahoma since Baker Mayfield in a regular season. It's that he did it against Texas, and nobody has ever done that against Texas. Nobody has thrown for 250 and rushed for 100 against Texas. And this was his first and maybe only opportunity. He can come back next year, but if you NFL's calling go. And they survived this block punt for a touchdown. They survived a missed field goal from Zach Schmidt. They showed some heart toward the end. They got 4 downs inside the 10-yard line, and Oklahoma came up with stops. They turned over Texas 3 times, 2 interceptions, 1 absolutely outstanding hit from Peyton Bowen. Tawee Walker running into that end zone looking great. I just think that Oklahoma is more balanced than it has been basically since 2008, okay? And this is the most terrifying the defense has been since 2002, but it gets deeper than that. Check this out. Oklahoma's got 12 interceptions through 6 games. That is the most an Oklahoma defense has accounted for since winning the national championship in 2000, and that team was all defense. that team was so all defense that people remember Torrance Marshall went in there at coin flip, looked Chris Winkie dead in the eye and said, I came to get my boys Heisman back. That is who they got leading them now. Danny Stutzman got that energy. You've seen him with the gold hat and the shades and the cigar. Ethan Downs out there being an absolute terror as a married man with a family. Look here, I'm all in on Oklahoma. Like I said, if Oklahoma beat Texas, you're not going to be able to tell me a damn thing. You're not going to be able to tell me a damn thing. Now, Kansas is a good football team. They still got to get past them. And I think, at least through the middle, it's still the Big 12. It's still tough. Going to Provo, it's going to be different. Playing a Friday game against Texas Christian after Thanksgiving, that's going to be different. Way to thumb your nose at Oklahoma on its way out, Big 12, by the way. And then I go down a little bit further, and I see I've got Florida State at 8 just because I don't think that Florida State's that good. I don't see what everybody else sees. I saw a team that could have beaten one LSU in the first half. They just held it together, right? And then they came on in the second half, and I think that's what people are betting on. When it's working for Florida State, they are one of the best offensive football teams in the country. And they got one of the best pass rushers in the country. But it ain't always working, right? Trey Benson went for 200 against Vodtech, but Vodtech ain't nobody. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to keep them in the top 10, and I don't expect them to slide as long as they keep winning football games. But they're going to face some challenges, at least in the ACC title game. We'll get to learn something about them because behind them, you'll find Louisville, 6-0 at 12, right? Jumped straight in there with that win against Notre Dame. UNC, 5-0 at 13. Drake May went for 442 pass yards, 50 yards rushing plus in their win. They get Tez Walker back, which was huge because that means you're dynamic on the outside again. Duke is still Duke, right? Riley Leonard's ready to go. That's a tough football team that plays great defense and really depends on the quarterback to be the offensive playmaker. Mike Elko got those dudes believing. So that's 3 teams that I think all could present a worthwhile challenge to Florida State. I just would have liked to have seen Louisville play Florida State this year in the regular season, or even UNC for that matter, but we're going to figure it out sooner or later. Ole Miss got a workmanlike win against Arkansas. It's pretty good. Oregon State put up 50, right, on Cal. I think they're still good. Utah, it's about Cam Rising for me. We still don't have a read on what that team is, and they still only just have the 1 loss with 2 ranked victories. Notre Dame is just Notre Dame at this point, right? There's no sense in belaboring that point, but I do think that if they get a win against SC, it bodes well for whatever you expect the Marcus Freeman era to look like, because beating up on Caleb Williams will do a lot for their morale. It's not going to do much for their national championship hopes, but this is also a year in which I think it would have been great to have a 12-team playoff because Notre Dame would not have been out of this. Neither would LSU at 2 losses either. And you could have probably seen even Missouri or Kentucky play themselves back into contention. I got Maryland at 23. I think Kansas is a very good football team. And then Tennessee's idle, and that was basically Air Force or Tennessee. We'll see, but I'm not tied to Tennessee at 25. I'm back to the top 10 here, though, because it's really difficult to make the college football playoff in the 14 format if you're not ranked in the top 10. I think with 12-team playoff, all 25 of these teams got a shot. But right now, the only team that nobody wants to play is the University of Michigan. You've seen enough of Georgia to say, oh, okay, cool. They're not infallible. And then I look at Florida State and go, yeah, I'd take them in round 1. Or SC, and I would take them in round 1. I think through the middle, though, from Ohio State to Washington, that's a toss-up. And I would have loved to have seen an expanded bracket for those teams to play because this would be the year to have it. And in other years where we've seen one dominant team, not so much, but I lament that. Still, 5, 6-0 teams will probably get at least 1 or 2 more going into the week. Fascinating first half of the season, fascinating first act of the season. But thank you for watching the #1 college football show. Please remember to subscribe to the channel and like this video so that you don't miss any of the best college football coverage in America.